Hi guys, welcome to episode 2, I think. I don't think I made it past 1. Welcome to episode 2 of the Midnight Story. Setup looks a little different. It's been a while, I do know. But we're here to do the same thing, okay? So lay down, sit down, get comfortable. Today I'm going to read James Patterson's Sundays at Tiffany's. I'm not reading the whole book today. Let me just clarify that. I think I'm going to do like a chapter a day or something like that. I haven't really figured it out. Again, I'm just winging it. Like I said, get comfortable, chill out. Got me a little drinky drink, some water. We're going to have a good time. Chapter 1. Every detail of those Sunday afternoons is locked in my memory. But instead of explaining me and Michael right off, I'll start with the world's best, most luscious, and possibly most sinful ice cream sundae, as served at the St. Regis Hotel in New York City. It was always the same: 2 fist-sized scoops of coffee ice cream, swirled with a river of hot fudge sauce, the kind that gets thicker, gooey, and chewy when it hits the ice cream. On top of that, real whipped cream. Even at 8 years old, I could tell the difference between real whipped cream and the fake-o non-dairy product you squirt from a can. Across from me at my table in the Astor Court was Michael, hands down the handsomest man I knew, or have ever known, for that matter. Also the nicest, the kindest, and probably the wisest. That day his bright green eyes watched me gaze at the sundae with undisguised delight as the white-coated waiter set it in front of me with tantalizing slowness. For Michael, a clear glass bowl of melon balls and lemon sherbet. His ability to deny himself the pleasure of a sundae was something my child's brain couldn't wrap itself around. "Thanks so much," Michael said, adding extreme politeness to his list of enviable qualities. To which the waiter said, "Not a word." The Astor Court was the place to go to for a fancy dessert at the St. Regis Hotel. That afternoon, it was filled with important-looking people having important-looking conversations. In the background, 2 symphony-worthy violinists fiddled away as if this were a Lincoln Center. "Okay," Michael said. "Time to play the Jane and Michael game." I clapped my hands together, my eyes lighting up. Here's how it worked. One of us pointed to a table, and the other had to make up stuff about the people sitting there. The loser paid for dessert. "Go," he said, pointing. I looked at the 3 teenage girls dressed in nearly identical pale yellow linen dresses. Without hesitation, I said, "Debutantes. First season. Just graduated from high school, maybe in Connecticut, probably Greenwich." Michael tilted his head back and laughed. "You're definitely spending too much time around adults. Very good though, Jane. Point for you." "Okay," I said, gesturing toward another table. "That couple over there. The ones who look like Cleavers in Leave It to Beaver. What's their story?" The man was wearing a gray and blue checkered suit. The woman, a bright pink jacket with a green pleated skirt. "Husband and wife from North Carolina," Michael rattled off easily. "Wealthy, own a chain of tobacco shops. He's here on business. She came to do some shopping. Now he's telling her that he wants a divorce." "Oh," I said, looking down at the table. I let out a deep breath, then took another spoonful of sundae and let the rich flavors unfold in my mouth. Yeah, I guess everyone gets divorced. Michael bit his lip. Oh, wait, Jane, I got it all wrong. He's not asking for a divorce. He's telling her that he has a surprise. He's made arrangements for them to go on a cruise to Europe on the QE2. It's their second honeymoon. That's a much better story, I said, smiling. You get a point. Excellent. I looked down at my plate and saw that somehow my ice cream sundae had completely vanished, as it always did. Michael looked around the room dramatically. Here's one you won't get, he said. He pointed to a man and a woman just 2 tables away. I looked over, and the woman was about 40 years old, well-dressed, and stunningly pretty. You might have taken her for a movie actress. She wore a bright red designer dress and matching shoes and had a big black pocketbook. Everything about her said, "Look at me." The man she was with was younger, pale, and very thin. He was wearing a blue blazer and a patterned silk ascot, which I don't think anyone was wearing even back then. He waved his arms enthusiastically as he spoke. That's not funny, I said, but I couldn't help grinning and rolling my eyes. Because, of course, the couple was my mother, Vivian Margot, the famous Broadway producer, and that year's celebrity hairdresser, Jason. Jason, the hothouse flower who didn't have time for a last name. I looked over at them again. One thing was for sure. My mom was beautiful enough to be an actress. Once when I asked her why she hadn't become one, she said, "Honey, I don't want to ride the train, I want to drive the train." Every Sunday afternoon when Michael and I had dessert at the St. Regis, my mother and a friend had dessert and coffee there too. That way she could gossip or complain or conduct business but still keep an eye on me without actually having to be with me. And after the St. Regis, we would cap off our Sundays at Tiffany's. My mother loved diamonds, wore them everywhere, collected them the way other people collect crystal unicorns, or those weird ceramic Japanese cats with the one paw in the air. Of course, I was okay those Sundays because I had Michael for company. Michael, who was my best friend in the world, maybe my only friend when I was 8 years old, my imaginary friend. Now that was chapter 1. I think I am going to do another chapter. So I hope you are comfy, snuggled in bed. Okay, lights dimmed or off. Be comfortable. Because the goal is to help you to go to sleep. There's some background noise. Maybe you need help concentrating. You might have ADHD like me. And background noise can be very helpful to actually get things done. But here we go. Chapter 2. I snuggled closer to Michael at our table. Want to know something? I asked. It's kind of a bummer. What? He asked. I think I know what my mother and Jason are talking about. It's Howard. I think Vivian is tired of him. Out with the old and with the new. Howard was my stepfather. My mother's third husband. The third one I knew about anyway. Her first husband had been a tennis pro from Palm Beach. He'd lasted only a year. Then had come Kenneth, my father. He'd done better than the tennis pro, lasting 3 years. He was really sweet and I loved him, but he traveled a lot for business. Sometimes I felt as if he forgot about me. I'd heard my mother tell Jason that he'd been spineless. She didn't know I'd overheard. She'd said he was a good-looking jellyfish of a man who will never amount to anything. Howard had been around for 2 years now. He never traveled on business and didn't seem to have a job other than helping Vivian. He massaged her feet when she was tired, checked that her food was salt-free, and made sure that our car and our driver were absolutely always on time. Why do you think that? Michael asked. Little things, I said. Like Vivian used to buy him stuff all the time. Fancy loafers from Paul Stewart and ties from Bergdorf Goodman. But she hadn't given him anything in ages. And last night, she ate at home, alone, with me. Howard wasn't even there. Where was he? Michael asked. I could see the sympathy and concern in his eyes. I don't know. When I asked Vivian, she just said, who knows and who cares? I imitated my mother's voice, then shook my head. Okay, I said. New topic. Guess what day Tuesday is? Michael tapped his chin a few times and said, no idea. Come on, you know perfectly well, Michael, this isn't funny. Valentine's Day. Stop it, I told him, kicking him gently under the table. He grinned. You know what Tuesday is, you have to, it's my birthday. Oh yeah, wow, you're getting old, Jane. I nodded. I think my mother is having a party for me. Michael said. Well, anyway, I don't care about a party really. What I really want is a real live puppy. Michael nodded. Cat gotcha. I started to say, but then stopped in mid-sentence. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Vivian signing the check. In a minute, she and Jason would be standing over our table, hustling me off. This Sunday at the St. Regis was coming to a close. It had been another wonderful afternoon for me and Michael. Here she comes, Michael, I whispered. Look invisible. I think I might read another chapter. This is actually one of my favorite books. So I'm going to try not to drag it and read the whole thing because I do need to go to sleep myself. I have work in a few short hours. Chapter 3. Vivian strode toward our table as if she owned the St. Regis. And I hope I'm saying that right. Jason trailed along behind her. No one in the Astor Court would have believed that this beautiful woman with the perfect makeup, the perfect skin, the perfect tan, was in any way related to the pudgy 8-year-old with frizzy hair and smudges of fudge sauce on both cheeks. But there we were, mother and daughter. Vivian kissed me on the cheek and then got down to business. The business of me. Jane, sweetie. She almost always called me Jane, sweetie, as if that were my actual name. Must you always order 2 desserts? Jason, the celebrity hairdresser, tried to help. Well, Vivian, the second dessert was melon. That's not too bad. Carbs, of course, but Jane, sweetie, we've talked about your weight, my mother began. I'm only 8 years old, I said. How about I promise to be anorexic later? Michael laughed so hard he nearly fell off his chair. Even Jason smiled. Vivian didn't move a facial muscle. She was always trying not to frown because she didn't want to get any wrinkles before her time, say 90 or so. Don't be precautious with me, Jane, sweetie. She turned to Jason. She reads far too many books. Yeah, I'm terrible that way, I thought. Vivian turned back to me. We'll discuss your eating habits at home, in private. Anyway, I told her, that melon isn't even mine. Michael ordered it. Ah, yes, said Vivian, sounding bored. Michael, the amazing, ever-present imaginary friend. She addressed the chair next to mine, which was empty. Michael was on my other side. Hello, Michael. How are you today? Hello, Vivian, said Michael, knowing she couldn't see or hear him. I'm just peachy. Thanks. All of a sudden, I felt Jason tugging at a handful of my hair. Hey, I protested. Something must be done about this, he said. Vivian, give me 1 hour with this hair. There's no reason why anyone should walk around like this. She'll come out looking like a Vogue model. That's great, Michael said. Just what the world needs, an 8-year-old who looks like a Vogue model. I winced and pulled my hair away from Jason. Come, Jane, sweetie, said Vivian. There's a full cast rehearsal tonight, and I must look in on it. Her latest huge Broadway musical, The Problem with Kansas, was opening in days. But first we can drop by Tiffany's, like we always do, dear. Our time together. What about Jane's hair? Jason demanded. When can I schedule her makeover? Michael shook his head. You're perfect the way you are, Jane. You don't need a makeover. Never forget that. I won't, I said. You won't what? Asked Vivian. She took a napkin, dipped it in my water glass, and wiped the fudge sauce from my cheeks. A makeover is a great idea, Jane, sweetie. There might be a big fancy party in your future. She remembered. A birthday party. I thought, and suddenly I forgave her for everything else. Come along now, I hear Tiffany's calling. Vivian spun on her 4-inch heels and headed for the exit, Jason close behind her. Michael and I both got up. He leaned down and kissed the top of my head, right on the frizzy hair that pained Jason so. See you tomorrow, he said. I miss you already. I miss you already, too. I looked ahead and saw my mother's slim tan legs disappearing into the St. Regis's revolving door. She glanced back. Jane, sweetie, come. Tiffany's. I ran to catch up. I was always doing that. And that is where I am going to stop, because as I said, I do need to get to bed myself. But we will pick up on chapter 4 maybe tomorrow. I'll get better with the schedule once I fully commit to this. But thank you so much for spending your time watching my video. I do appreciate that, and I appreciate you. Your time is valuable. And stick with me if you're feeling this. I don't know, give me some suggestions with some books that maybe you would like to hear. But yeah, on that note, I'm gonna get to bed. Good night.